Put yourself in this situation. Alien parasites terrorizes humanity by secretly killing them as sources of food, and you find yourself in the midst trying to escape their dinner plate in view of avoiding their quench for hunger. Just imagine. The movie begins by the invasion of planet Earth by aliens called the Parasyte. They infect humans by creeping into their brains. One parasite enters the brain of a middle-aged man through his ear. Then it cuts to the room of a high school student sleeping with earphones playing music in his ear. The alien tries to enter the ears but couldn't. Then tries to. He wakes up, pulls out the parasite and throws it against the wall. The parasite now comes back to attack, entering his right arm, thereby infecting it. The boy's name is Kenichi, and he screams, tying the upper part of his hand with a rope, preventing the parasite from creeping upward. Then Kenichi's mother comes in, calming him down. The middle-aged man earlier, and he moves and decapitates his wife's head, feeding on it. They'll move to Shinichi as he tries to have breakfast, still regaining his consciousness. But it is known that the parasite has taken over Shinichi's right arm. He realizes that his hand is acting on his own, making him do weird things, and improperly touching his girlfriend, Satomi Murano, inappropriately. It also extends the length of Shinichi's right arm and throwing a basketball accurately that it enters the net. At home, Shinichi begins to research what is going on with his right arm. He gets eyeballed by his arm. This prompted him to try to pluck it out, thereby making the arm to transform into a creature. So it is now known that the alien can shapeshift. It then transforms into a friendly-looking alien, talking to Shinichi, and becomes more friendly. It reveals that it was supposed to feed on Shinichi's brain, but unable to do so because he was putting earphones in his ears. Now it has no choice than to become permanently attached to Shinichi's right hand. Shinichi and the alien decide to call the right arm Migi. Migi becomes curious, learning everything it has to learn about this world. He seems to be able to collect a lot of hands-on knowledge by just observing what people are doing around him through visual observance. He's pretty fascinated about a lot of things. Meanwhile, the other alien that we saw earlier goes killing a lot of people. While Shinichi is returning to school, Migi senses the presence of other aliens. He then drags Shinichi to a nearby restaurant. They sneak into the restaurant through the back door. In a burst of horror, they witness one of the aliens feeding on humans. The alien in turn senses the presence of Migi and happily welcomes it to the restaurant. Then the alien quickly recognizes that Migi hasn't killed his human host. The alien then reveals that two aliens can't live in one human head. The alien now suggests that Migi should kill the host and jump into his hands. He proves that by amputating his hand to make way for Migi to come into him and join forces. Migi then stares back at Shinichi. This now starts a battle between the two aliens as they fight each other, remembering the lessons he learned about fighting, and ends up decapitating the alien host body, followed by stabbing the head to the ground, consequently killing it. Shinichi then appreciates the effort that Migi put in saving his life. But Migi reveals emotionlessly that he killed the alien because it was afraid that if it leaves Shinichi's body, he might die. So thereby he would prefer living in his hand instead. This catches the interest of Detective Hirama and starts investigating the murders occurring around town. Suspicion pushes him to think that there is a cannibalistic serial killer on the loose. The next day, Shinichi picks up his mom from work and they walk back home. Even though Shinichi ponders on confessing everything to his mom, he doesn't, but I think he really should. So the next day in school, Shinichi's principal introduces a new teacher named Ryoko. Surprising Shinichi, Miki reveals that the teacher has been taken over by an alien named Tamiya. So in an attempt to prove this, both Migi and Shinichi confronts Tamiya, but she assures them that she means no harm and proceeds to inviting them to talk after school. They later meet at an aquatic zoo, like a small parasite welcoming party. So they are joined by a high school student taken over by an alien and a police officer also taken over by an alien. The aliens then ask Tamiya why she brought Shinichi, a human, to meet them. Tamiya seems more reasonable compared to other aliens. It reveals that she is somewhat like a scientist studying human ways of life. She even had sex to Mr. A for her research, thereby becoming pregnant with a human baby. She also goes on to explain that both the alien and the human needs each other to survive, finding the purpose of their existence. She's also concerned about the popularity of the killings publicized on the media, and she's looking for a way to discreetly feed on humans without creating a media spectacle. So she solicits for the cooperation of both Shinichi and Migi, which they declined immediately, making her to warn them of the consequences of their rejection, and also assures them that they will be put down if they get in their way. Therefore, the parasites are looking for a safe heaven where they can eat humans in peace and harmony. What an irony. I rhymed! The alarming thing is, they've already started connecting with each other around the world, creating a more bigger threat than just parasites acting on their own. Remember, Tamia is still pregnant with a human baby. So funny the way it sounds, even hearing me say it. Back at home, the mother notices that Shinichi has made himself distant and more quiet than usual. She persuades him to open up to her. This irritates Shinichi and he protests that he's a grown man and not a kid. That is not everything he must reveal to his mother. The next day in the night, while he returns back to his house, Shinichi and Migi runs into the police officer they met earlier with him. Migi was able to sense the intentions of the alien to kill, and he urges Shinichi to avoid him totally. Shinichi adheres to his advice and runs away, prompting the police officer to chase after him and blocks them off into a secluded place. Having no choice left, Migi decides to confront the police officer that has been taken over by an alien and urges him to back off. The police officer reiterates that he's not like his colleague Tamiya. He reveals that he heard about the parasite that Migi murdered. Then an intense battle ensues, prompting Migi and the police officer to fight. As the fight continues, Shinichi moves closer to the alien, concealing a metal pipe behind his back. When he gets close enough, Shinichi impales the police officer / alien with the pipe, putting Mr. A to collapse on the ground and running away for his dear life, frightened. This traumatizes Shinichi, amusing Migi, which makes Migi reminds him that the alien has already killed a human when it took over the host body. Then we cut off to Shinichi's mother returning home from the market, and she notices the helpless police officer struggling with his life in the alley. She moves closer to him in an attempt to help him. Then back in Shinichi's house, Miki senses that another alien is approaching the residence. This frightened Shinichi grabs a knife. The door opens, revealing Shinichi's mother, Nabuko. Miki warns Shinichi that the alien that was in the police officer has taken over his mom's body. But in denial, Shinichi refuses to believe Migi's claim. The alien in the police officer is separated from their body and moves over to Shinichi's mother's body. And it threatens Migi that if he doesn't stop making that claim, he's going to kill Migi and sever his arm. However, as the terrified Shinichi cries, Mr. A, the alien in Shinichi's mother's body, speaks with a similar voice of the alien in the police officer's body. Shinichi now drops to the ground and starts crying helplessly. Then he goes ahead to apologize to his mother for hiding the truth from her. Ignoring his emotions, the alien transforms and fatally injuring Shinichi, making Shinichi fall to the floor lifeless, making Migi scream with disbelief. Then the parasite tells Migi that it is over for the both of them and turns away, walking out from the house. Migi decided to enter the hole that was left by the alien. So after 2 days, the motionless Shinichi, lying in his hole, eventually gains consciousness and wakes up. Then Migi now pops up, revealing that he used a piece of himself to patch up Shinichi's body, saving his life, leaving a part of himself in his heart that was mortally injured. Then he returned back to Shinichi's right arm. Instead of being excited, Shinichi becomes so demoralized after losing his mother. He now proceeds to tell Migi that he should have let him die and falls down crying uncontrollably. After composing himself, he rushes out to his school to confront Tamiya. He asks about the alien that possessed his mother, which is now known as Mr. A, but she adamantly refuses to disclose where they can find it. So at the police station, the detective finds out that Shinichi's fingerprint is on the metal pipe, which was considered as the murder weapon on the police officer. Still emotional and angry, he walks in the city and meets a political rally. Then Migi reveals to Shinichi that the politician addressing the people has been taken over by an alien. Back at home, Migi tells Shinichi that the aliens are trying to create a safe place when they can feast on humans. Later, the detective comes to Shinichi's house. He inquires about the policeman's killing, and Shinichi tells the police officer that he's unaware of anything. The next day, at school, Shinichi's girlfriend Satomi introduces her friend named Shimada, one of the members of Tamiya's network. She encourages Shinichi to shake hands in order to meet the acquaintance of the alien. The alien attempts to squeeze Shinichi's left hand while shaking him, but surprised that Shinichi could withstand the squeeze and thus retaliate with an equal force to the alien. So they get back home and Migi reveals that the cell that it used to fix Shinichi's heart is reacting with his entire body, making him stronger like the alien body, and is also noticeably changing Shinichi's attitude. As as a proof that he's now bold, stronger, and bent on finding the Mr. A alien that possessed his mother. Migi informs Shinichi that he won't be there always to protect him, that it must sleep at least for 4 hours each day since he has depleted a part of itself. Meanwhile, the ongoing investigations reveals that the parasites are responsible for the death of humans across the city. They realize that the parasite can be identified if their hair coils, and they broadcast this knowledge to the rest of the populace. The next day, the principal notices Tamiya's protruding belly and realizes that she's pregnant, and in turn forces her to take a maternity leave. This bursts a ton of excitement on Migi and Shinichi. She in turn warns them that Shimada is perfectly going to fit in the school environment. Shimada is also willing not to consume human meat just like her. Then we cut to the art room where Shimada agrees to pose as a subject for an artistic project. Then one of the friends guides Shimada to strike a right pose. Tomi's friend then pulls out his hair. To her horror, the hair starts coiling. The entire art class realizes that Shimada is one of the alien parasites, and they start panicking uncontrollably, keep them trapped in the room and attempt to kill them all. Satome now throws a bottle of paint remover into the alien's mouth. The alien becomes irritated and agitated, disfiguring his form due to the chemical present, thereby making him go out of control. Migi senses the horror happen in the classroom and urges Shinichi to rush there and save them. He approaches the art room, slides on a pool of blood, and watches as he notices the dismembered corpse of his fellow students. Imagine, why did Satomi die among the dead bodies at the corridor? The producers are desperately trying to preserve her life. Anyway, Shinichi jumps in, saving the damsel in distress, and confronts Shimada. Tamiya appears from behind, upset for Shimada, and throws a homemade bomb towards Shimada. Before the bomb explodes, Shinichi carries his girlfriend Satomi, jumping out of the building through the windows. After the explosion, the police arrives at the scene and then confronts the alien that has survived the entire blast. Downstairs, Shinichi sends Satomi to a hospital in an ambulance. Then he proceeds to avenge Satomi by finishing up Shimada. Tamiya now appeared and informed Migi and Shinichi that she's going to leave town for a while until she gives birth to her baby. So before she goes away, she hands over to Shinichi the location where she can find the alien that possessed his mom. Shinichi then tracks the alien, Mr. A, to the address and secretly follows him under a busy bridge. Then Migi reveals to Shinichi that he's feeling sleepy and must return. Shinichi is surprised and terrified, wondering how he can be able to fight this alien without the help of Migi. So Migi goes into sleep, or hibernation as the case may be. He turns into a sword, leaving Shinichi alone to fight the alien. The alien then launches an attack at Shinichi, and it's more surprised with the astonishing speed and skill that Shinichi now possesses. While dodging the alien attack, Shinichi starts moving closer, meticulously defending and attacking the alien. Feeling beaten, the alien now tries to deceive Shinichi using his mother's sweet voice. He now then proceeds to kill Shinichi, but the consciousness of Shinichi's mom averted the attack. Shinichi then uses the opportunity to kill the alien by decapitating it. Over the course of the next few days, the politician Hirokawa wins the mayoral race and promises to deliver everything he promised during his campaign. Meanwhile, the detective is approached by a special unit of the police force, making him sign a letter accepting the assistance of this elite unit. A letter of confidentiality of a project called Human Life Protection. Tamiya and Hirokawa are seen talking to another mysterious parasite called Goto. He reveals that when he took over his human host, it was instructed to finish the entire human race. The movie now concludes with Shinichi visits to Satomi at the hospital, where an unknown journalist secretly recalls him talking with Migi. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions on movies, series, or TV shows that you'd like us to review or explain, please let us know at the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Please leave us a like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell and check out our numerous playlists for more videos like this. And you're watching Cloud Fusion. I'm watching.